Sometimes you have the pairing of two leaders that comes together naturally and with great success. You think of Steve Jobs and Steve Wozniak at Apple, or Sheryl Sandberg and Mark Zuckerberg at Meta. Warren Buffett and his silent partner, Charlie Munger at Berkshire Hathaway, all come to mind. But before we get to how you can use leadership pairings in your business to be more successful, please hit the subscribe button on Success Breaks so you can receive more of these coffee breaks for your business. One reason why you bring leaders together is that they have complementary skills like the people I mentioned. Another reason is because you have friction points in business or natural conflict, or you need coordination. This could be between functions, such as development and manufacturing. It could be an upstream and downstream workloads between, let's say, manufacturing and shipping and receiving. Or it could even be competing departments, the East Coast sales versus the West Coast sales. One solution to these kinds of business problems is what's called two in a box. It's called that because you put two names in the box on an organization chart as being responsible. This could be for a product launch or a specific business objective where coordination is needed. It could be for collaboration itself. It could be to develop a subordinate under the partnership with a superior, or it could be to run a business as the businesses I mentioned. The advantages of two in a box is that you can get better decisions. Two minds are better than one, as the old saying goes. It can reduce conflict and sub-optimization of one function or organization to another. Cognizant uses it to achieve higher alignment in strategy and execution by combining a customer-facing person, executive, with an internal functional representative. This also can create collaborative processes and collaborative thinking. Intel, for example, uses it at every level in their organization. If executives do it, it models collaboration, which then subordinates at other levels will copy. It can also create better and more creative outcomes, as is evidenced by some HBR, Harvard Business Review research. The disadvantages are it can slow decision-making because you have to get two people to agree. Compromise is oftentimes necessary, which is an advantage and a disadvantage. And it can increase overhead costs because you're paying for the salaries of two managers to, in fact, do much the same thing. Sometimes subordinates will be a little tricky and play one executive versus another, sort of like when kids play mom versus dad. To make it work, you'd have to have a number of factors. One is the leaders have to be of a certain maturity. You can't be the over-competitive person. You have to have some sense of balance to be able to work with the other person and the other function. Roles and expectations and objectives have to be more clear than they're typically made in business. A third thing is very important, and that is recognition and rewards have to be commensurate or even the same. I was two in a box at IBM at one point, and in fact, my appraisal and my bonus would be the same as my colleagues if we were successful. That made us all very codependent on one another. There has to be mutual trust and communication. The communication is particularly important if the leaders are not co-located. So they need to have regular ways of communicating with one another. There can't be any backdoor deals where subordinates come in. You're their advocate in a way. At Fishbowl, they have a number of non-negotiables, which include the types of things we're talking about, plus a commitment to make it work. So what, now what? Well, two things. One is, again, please subscribe. The other one is, if you're thinking of using this in your organization, look for friction points in your business where there's conflict, where there's two people might be able to resolve, where two functions are competing with one another. The other thing to look for is where you have some objective that's going to take a lot of coordination to make this thing come off. I know of a company that's in the pharmaceutical industry that with a product launch, they always create two in a box pairings for each launch to ensure that the launch goes smoothly, customer facing and internally. I hope that you can use two in a box to help your business be more successful.